Your disc rotors are often an overlooked part on your bike, but they're essential to your stopping power. Now, it could be that you're going away on holiday and you need to remove them and pop them in your bike bag, or you could be doing an overhaul, or you've just got new brakes that you've upgraded to. So here's our guide on how to remove your disc rotors. In this video, we're going to look at a 6-bolt configuration and also Shimano's center lock. Now, if you don't have these brakes, it could be an idea to check out your manufacturer's guidelines and follow their instructions. To carry out the procedure, you are going to need some specific tools. You're going to need a 5mm Allen key to remove the front wheel, or I will for my bike. You're going to need a T25 for the 6-bolt configuration. You're going to need this Holotech tool to take off the disc rotor, and it can also be doubled up as a bottom bracket removal tool. And then for the 6-bolt, we're going to use a torque wrench just to torque them up. And to give everything a good clean, we've got some rag and also some disc brake cleaner. So the first step is that we're just going to take the front wheel out, but we should already know how to do that. I'm just going to loosen off my pinch bolts and take the front axle out. So the first step is just to place the wheel on a nice flat surface, something that's quite secure, and we're just going to start removing that disc rotor. You're going to need your T25 to do that. Just pop it in and just loosen off each one. So now I'm just going to clean this hub face here. You can see there's a little bit of a build up. And you just want to get that super clean so that when you put the disc rotor back on, it's a flush, flat surface. So I'm going to use a rag and some disc brake cleaner just to clean it up nicely. So I'm now going to clean up the disc rotor. You can see it's quite tarnished here, so I'm just going to use a bit of disc brake cleaner and a rag to get all that off. Make sure it is a clean rag though, you don't want any oil residue to sort of contaminate the surface of the disc rotor. So make sure that when you put the rotor back on, you have it the right way up. Generally, there's some writing on the outside and keep that facing up, or if you're unsure, there is normally an arrow. And this is essential to ensure that you have the correct heat displacement. It's been designed for a certain way by the manufacturers. So I've got my arrow up and I'm just going to place it on the hub. So I'm now just going to go and replace the 6 bolts. I've got some Loctite already on this one here, but if you don't already, just pop some on and it will save the rotor bolts loosening themselves. So I actually like when I'm putting the bolts in to do every second bolt, and that just keeps the rotor evenly tightened and it's not going to pull one way or the other. So I'm just going to start working my way around the rotor, popping the first bolt in, then the second, and I'm just going to start with every second hole. So I've tightened all the bolts right down now, I've got no more play, and I'm just going to use my torque wrench to finally tighten them up, again doing every second bolt. And with this rotor it says 6.2 Newton meters, I have to tighten it to, but it should say on your specific rotor, so just check that before you go ahead and use your torque wrench. With the rotor reattached and all the bolts torqued up, the final thing I'm going to do is just give that surface a clean. I have touched it and your fingers can be a little bit greasy, so we don't want that transferred over to the brake pads. It could contaminate and you might get that dreaded brake squeal. So with the front wheel reattached, all that's to do is just to check that it's spinning freely, and then we'll check that the front brake's running good. And just like that, I've got my center lock rotor that we're now going to talk about removing. So again, I'm going to place it up on a flat surface, and I've got my center lock removal tool here, so we're just going to place that on top of the spline, just like that, make sure it's nice and secure. If you want to, you can put your 2 fingers around it like that, and just apply a little bit of pressure. It can be quite tight. So just like the 6-bolt configuration, we're going to give the full disc rotor a clean, the inside of the center lock and around the hub. So with the rotor all cleaned up, we're just going to pop that back on. Now be sure again just to check the writings in the outside. You've also got the torque configuration, and if you're unsure, there is an arrow to guide you on which way it should go. So just slide that back on, it's all nice and clean. And then again, we can put a little bit of Loctite on that inside thread, and that'll just save it from loosening off over time. So I'm now just going to put it onto the ground. Shimano with this one recommend that you tighten up to 40 Newton meters. Now I don't actually have a torque wrench for this, and I'm sure many at-home mechanics won't. So you just want to get it down on the ground and tighten it up pretty well. You'll get a few more nips out of it and it'll be good to go. So with the disc rotor reattached and tightened up, all that's left to do is give it one final clean like we did so with the other rotor earlier in the video. So that's it for how to change your disc rotor. For more great videos, why not click up there for how to change your brake pads, or if you've bent your rotor trailside, click down there and Mark will explain how to. But before you watch those two, click right there to subscribe. You get a free video every day of the week. And the best thing is, it's completely free, so why wouldn't you subscribe? If you enjoyed this one and found it helpful, give us a thumb up like.